Age of Change. Chapter 9. With April going to get the supplies, I was left with nothing to do but think. I had already thought of everything that I needed, so there wasn't much I could do. Being bored out of my mind, I checked out my chest wound to see that it was healing at a good pace. For some reason, I felt that it would be able to heal in at most a day. When I looked at my leg, I had the same feeling, but this time, the feeling had my leg wound healed in about 7 days if I didn't do too much extraneous exercises. I was still bored and wasn't one to listen to reason, so I started to try to move my leg. At first, I felt some numbness, then the feelings started to come back, and with feelings came pain. Before I could do too much damage, April came back. "Stop moving so much, don't you want to heal properly?" "I do, but I'm bored and it isn't like moving would mess it up too much," I said while shrugging. "Stop being difficult and stop moving," said April. "Alright, I'll stop, but did you get all the supplies and some brollies?" I said while changing the subject. "Yeah, I got everything that we need." "That's good and all, but did you get some brollies?" "No brollies, but I got some fruits." "By no brollies, you mean that there aren't any left or that you just didn't get some?" I asked semi-seriously. "I mean whatever you want to believe," said April jokingly. "So, you did get some?" "Wait, don't tell me." I was really wanted to know if she got some or not, but the mystery of it drew me in. Anyone who had a sweet tooth would feel the same way I'm feeling now. April looked at me and shrugged. She didn't say anything, which added to the mystery of the entire thing. "Forget about the brollies." "Oh, yeah, the spatial ring is kind of cool, so I'm going to keep it safe for you," said April, effectively taking my mind off the brollies. "Wait, you're going to do what?" I didn't hear you properly. April laughed before saying I mean my spatial ring is kind of cool, so it's mine's forever. My mind didn't fully register what she was saying until it came to me. She was just trying to keep my mind off the brollies. It was rather effective. It was like she was treating me like a kid who was throwing a tantrum. Great thing I knew her personality a bit, or I would really have been like an idiotic kid. Time for some payback. I made myself seem like I was thinking about what she just said, then to seconds later, put on an angry face. I put my hands up and balled my hands up to make a fist. "Give me back my spatial ring, or fight me," I said in a sinister voice. April had a facial expression that was screaming she didn't understand what was happening. I was thinking to myself, "Yeah, how you like them apples?" Then everything started going south. April started to cry while saying, "I was just playing, I don't even want your stupid ring." She took the spatial ring off her finger and threw it at me. Before she left, she said, "From now on you are by yourself, don't ever look for me." I was stunned. How did things turn out this way? Just a couple minutes ago we were playing around, and now this happened. I was starting to think she was too emotional, but then I remembered that in a way she was more emotionally strong than I was. Then I started to think that she might have really hurt her feelings. There was no way I wanted to hurt her feelings. I was just trying to get even for all the teasing. I couldn't let things get worse than they already are. I wanted her to come back, so I said emotionally, "Wait, where are you going? I was just playing around." "I didn't mean anything," I said. "I just wanted to get you back for all your teasing. Please don't go." April stopped walking and turned around with a smile on her face. "I know," she said. "I was just playing around too. I knew you were joking. I was just calling your bluff," I said, trying to defend myself. While doing air quotes, April said, "Yeah, you were calling my bluff, and you were all like, didn't go." I was slightly embarrassed, so I blushed at her portrayal of me. "It was all acting, I didn't mean anything," I said. "So, if I were to leave right now, you would just let me go?" asked April questioningly. "Yup," said my male ego. Just like that, April turned around and started to walk away. Watching her walk away made me start to curse under my breath. "Wait, don't go," I said begrudgingly. Even when I knew she was walking away for show, I still didn't want her to leave. Especially since the world changed, I didn't know the next time I would be able to find another human being. For anyone who hasn't been lonely before would never know the feeling of despair that comes with it. I picked my spatial ring up and put it on my fingers where it rightfully belonged. Help me up, it's getting late. We don't know what's going to happen at night, so it's better to leave now, I said to April, changing the topic entirely. April came up to me and put my arm around her neck and pulled me up. She turned to me and said, "It won't be that easy to change the conversation. You know you would miss me if I was gone." I slightly blushed again and turned from facing her. "Maybe," I said in the manliest voice I could possibly produce in this embarrassing situation. I turned back to face her and she faced me. We busted out laughing at how ridiculous we were. "I won't lie, I would miss you," I said after getting the laughter out of my system. "Don't get all sappy on me, but I would miss you too." "Without you who would I get to mess with?" said April with a slight blush on her face. We both laughed one more time before we got going. While walking out the store, I started to think that maybe the world changing wasn't a totally bad thing. Without the world changing, it would be near impossible for me and April to get this close, and it would take a long time before I would be able to break out of my shell. Thinking about this made me secretly look forward to the future. I don't know what the future held, but as long as I was still breathing, I would never let my happily life get destroyed. When we walked out the store, the humid air hit my face, signaling a new chapter in my life. We stopped walking for a couple seconds to bath in the warmth of the setting sun. We were in the month November, so the time had changed, causing the sun to set earlier in the day. It was good to know that even when the world was changing, there would be things that wouldn't change. We started walking back to April's place. On the way back, I didn't feel any creepy presences, so the journey back was safe and uneventful. When we reached the entrance to enter our community, we were once again greeted with the devastating view of dead bodies all around. Before we passed by the bodies, we prayed for them once again. I thought to myself, when I was feeling better, I would give these people a proper burial. Nobody deserved for the corpse to be played with, and I hoped if I was to one day die, I would be given a proper burial in this cruel world. When we passed by the bodies, I suddenly had an epiphany. I came to realize what had caused their deaths. The shadow goblin was the cause. When my mind came to the realization, I broke out into a cold sweat. Good thing me and April had the chance to kill it. I wouldn't know what would have happened if the goblin waited until nighttime to attack us. One thing that April and Jason failed to see on their journey back was that the distance they had to walk back had increased. The earth was getting bigger without them realizing. Finally arriving at April's place after having to walk up the long flight of stairs and through the long hallway. April laid me down on her soft, comfortable couch. It was good to be back and away from danger. "Are you going to stay here, or will you go back to your place?" I didn't want to go back to my place, but I also didn't want to intrude into April's space too much, so I was in a dilemma. If I answered yes, I would feel like I was being inconsiderate of our situation, but on the other hand, if I answered no, I would feel like I was being inconsiderate of the situation. Confusing, right? Me and April weren't going out, so staying at her place would be strange, but on the other hand, I'm injured right now, and it would be harder to keep myself alive. It would be great if I could find a way to stay without it being too weird. "Let me get your key to get your clothes, and give me your spatial ring, so I could get everything else we might need." There, it was a perfect excuse for me to stay without feeling too imposing. Don't think too much, it's safer for us to be closer to each other, instead of being so far apart. And here I was thinking so hard on this topic while April was thinking logically. I should probably stop thinking with my privates and start thinking with my noggin. I took out my keys from my wallet, then took off the spatial ring from my finger and gave them to April. When April left, I felt kind of bad for putting her in another potential bad situation, but I also felt some relief. Relying on another person is a stressful thing, but being injured in a changing world would be 10 times more stressful. When 5 minutes passed, and April still didn't come back, I was starting to get worried. Another 2 minutes passed, and she still wasn't back yet. My worries were starting to get the better of me. I irrationally got up from my comfortable couch and put pressure on my bad leg. The sharp pain made me suck in a good breath, but I didn't let it stop. April was possibly in trouble, and I was the cause of it. My guilt overrode my rationality, so I got up and started to walk. One step on my bad leg sent a shock through my bod. I almost fell down right where I stood. I contemplated whether or not I should keep going. I didn't think on it too long since I knew April was worth it. The only problem was getting there and probably fighting. The only thing I could think of was to hop there, so I did exactly that. I ignored the pain I felt from every hop and went into the kitchen. I picked out the biggest knife I could find from one of the drawers. I figured a bigger knife would at least give us a semblance of security. I hopped to the door, but as soon as I got there the knob started shaking. I thought it was April until the door knob started shaking sporadically. I was scared because this reminded me of your typical scary movie. Unlike scary movies, this was real life, and I could die if the thing that was trying to open the door was stronger than me, especially since I was injured. My heart started to race, and as soon as the doorknob stopped shaking sporadically, my heart felt like it was trying to come out my chest. The unknown was truly terrifying. The door started to open. I got ready to stab whatever came in. As I raised my knife up, I heard April's voice, calming my nerves. "Wait, what are you doing up, and why do you have a knife in your hands? I thought that you were in trouble, but never mind that. What took you so long? Your place was kind of messy, I just had to clean a bit. Anyways, I got all the clothes you might need." I was slightly speechless, but then again, I was a messy person who wouldn't clean unless having to. "You do know we would probably have to leave this place, so why would you clean it?" I asked. "That might be true, but having something to do keeps my mind off of what's happening," April answered with a faraway look in her eyes. I patted her shoulder and said, "As long as I'm with you, you won't have to worry about not having anything to do." We both had a great laugh, and April was now cheered up. After this small incident, April brought me into her bathroom to take a shower, while she went to fix something for us to eat. While taking a shower, I was in pain, but I paid more attention to the strange feeling of taking a shower in a girl's bathroom. It wasn't something spectacular, but it was extremely clean compared to my bathroom. After my shower, I put on some clean clothes and hopped my way into the kitchen. I tried to help April with the cooking, but she shooed me out the kitchen. With nothing to do, I naturally started to use my phone. While using my phone, I had a sudden idea to use Identify on it. Smartphone. Attack power, 1 durability, 5 description, 1 of humans' technologically advanced equipments. Expiration, 2 days. I was confused when I saw the extra description of an expiration date. I'm pretty sure in the games I played there wasn't an expiration date. There were games that had restrictions on equipment uses, but never an expiration. Seeing this made me kind of worried, so I checked all the other electronics, and it said the same thing. Then I checked on a flashlight I found laying around, and it didn't have an expiration date. It all came to me: this was now a world where we wouldn't have all the technologically advanced equipment. We would only have the bare minimum to survive. I didn't feel great finding this out, but I also wasn't discouraged. As long as we had a chance to survive, it would be enough. Around 7:30, April was finished with the food, but we didn't eat until she was done showering. It was the first time in a long time since I ate with another person, so I didn't mind the wait. After we were done eating, we talked about nothing in particular and watched some movies. Around 10:30 we called it a night. Just before I fell asleep, I heard a voice in my head. The world has changed, and so will the inhabitants with it. Humans were once the apex predators, but now you will become the ant you always were, or will you rise up and become the apex predator that you were meant to be, or will you die a pitiful death as a stepping stone for the rise of power of others? My first thought was such a domineering voice, and before I could think of anything else I fell asleep. During my sleep, I felt the same feeling as when the shadow goblin was following, but 10 times more powerful. Thanks for watching.